Good morning, champs. How are you? Hope you are enjoying all the lectures, right? And you're understanding. In case of any problem, please let me know. Sorry. I'll try and go as slow as possible and make you understand as slowly as possible, right? So, still, if you're facing any problem, let me know in the comment section or you can message me, right? So, shall we get started? Okay. So, now let us have a recap of what we did so far, right? So far we were able to do many different things, including what happened to the font. Okay, so let me just decrease the font of it because it's coming quite larger than expected. So let me make it to 24. Will that work? Okay, it's still coming larger, so let me make it to 12. Will this work? Yeah, it's going to work as nothing is visible. Options. Let's keep it to 18. What say, guys? Maybe. Let's make it 22 since 22 is not available, so I'll type it manually. Fine, so I think it is this has to work. Okay, fine. Everything is visible, right? Okay, so now what we have been able to do successfully, we understood scriptlets, we understood declarations, and we understood the expressions, right? And expressions you can see we're using here, right, which is a short form of out.println. And let me show you some other ways of validation. Before I show you, let's start the project. All right, so let us take it down. All right, if I go to login.jsp, right here, because what we have done, we have also learned include directive, right? So we also learned include directive, so you can see it here. And we also learned many things, including the welcome file list, right, including the servlet mappings, right? And now what we are going to do, since we know that login.jsp has been included in the main page.jsp, right? So we're including it here, and all the operations that we were doing here in this file will be now done in login.jsp. So before I move to the complete object-oriented standard of it, I would like to show you many different things. So I don't need to see this date, so let's get rid of this date. Right, so now first thing is the validation. Now if I do not type anything, I guess please write a username and a password. Now if I write anything, I get incorrect username and password. And Zia told me that we can use or instead of using and what are the results if I go and start using or instead of and? Will it work or will it throw an error? So let us see what and does, because since it is a login module, we know that username and password are both required in login module. So even if one is missing, the authorization will not work, the authentication will not work. In order for the authentication to work properly, we have to supply both the username and the password. But since someone insisted, so I will use or here. What this or does, if username is not empty or password is not empty, this means 1 out of 2 is not empty, either username or password. So let us see what will happen if I do this. Right, so incorrect username and password. So let's see. Please write a username and password. So let's say in this case I will not write username, I will only write password. So I get incorrect username and password. That means what I have done, I have passed it to authentication phase, whereas it was not completely validated. Validation should be that you have to enter the username and the password, right? Not only that if I write 1, so you go to the next phase. No, you're going and checking username and password. Now, had it been database, it's going to throw null pointer exception because you are supplying empty values and comparing empty values as that of the empty values with the database. So will this work? No, it is absolutely not going to work, right? But yeah, what is the best way? The best way is that we do it something like this. So I will say if user name dot length so I can use username dot length right here, right, is let's say about if username dot length is less than 3, right, or you do this, right. Okay, so if username dot length is less than 3, so you can use this, or you can say if username dot equals empty, right. If it is not equivalent to empty, do this. If it is equivalent to empty, do this. So this is how this may work, right. So I'll show you once again. All right, so if username dot dot length, so I'll say if username dot length is less than 3, do this, right, else do this, right. So if username dot length is less than 3, right, or we can say if it is greater than or equivalent to 3, do this, else do this. So else I will say message is equivalent to please write your username, right. So I'll keep the brackets here. I will say minimum, right, 3 characters. So your username has to be minimum of 3 characters, right. And in case of the error, I will return false. So in case I'm getting error, I will return false. And if it is right, then I will say if password dot length, right, is greater than or equivalent to 3, then do this, right. Else what you got to do is else you do this, right. Else return false and return true. And here I will pass the message. I will say message is equivalent to, right, please write your password, right. So I'll say minimum 3 characters, all right. So I'll say minimum 3 characters long. Okay, so this way what we are doing here, we are first testing if the username dot length is greater than 3. If it is not, we are stopping, we are not checking the password. And if username is okay, then we are checking password, right. So this way it's a nested if else condition where we are checking both the things, right. So now if I refresh and see, okay, now I get first please write your username, right. So if I write my username, no, please write your username, it has to be minimum 3 characters. Now I write my username, please write your password minimum 3 characters. So then I get second warning that you have to write your password. Now I write my password and then I get incorrect username and password. So what is the correct username and password? Fahimet pass, or maybe let us say, yeah, it's Zia and pass. So I was showing her, okay, Zia is logged in. Okay, all right. So this is what you can use, right, in validations. And then I'll show you the most sophisticated way of validation, that is using regular expressions, but that we are going to do after we complete the object-oriented section of this JSP class. Okay, so this is validation, and this is how you can basically control different things using this sort of validation. All right. So carrying on with the JSP, and now we need to control something. For example, if I write home, right, so I know I am getting the home page right here. Why? Because in the deployment descriptor I have already said if someone writes /home, if /home URL pattern sorry, is provided over the URL, please execute home page, which is the main page.jsp. So this part is already done. What if I type something which does not exist? I'm getting the response from the web server. What if you want to give your own customized response for 404? What if you want to give your own custom generated response to 404, right? So what if you want to do that? For that, we have to go to the deployment descriptor, and I will say, so we have this right here. error page and error code. What is the error code here? 404. If I get 404 error code, please take my location to, right, I'll say slash 404.jsp. So I go to 404.jsp. Now you can see I still get an error here. Now we get 404 because 404 is not found. Alright, and I'll go and make 404 new JSP. What do you call it? 404.jsp. JSP will come automatically. Now here is my JSP page. So I will say oops and then open H3 tags, and I say let's open H2 tags, right, error code 404, right, and then I will open H3 tag, page not found, right, and then I will open paragraph and we will say the resource or the page you are looking for has been, let's hit a break line, removed or taken to a different place, alright, and then I'll say break line and another break line. So here I'll say ahref is equal to, alright, so I go to slash home, alright, and I say click here to visit home page. Alright, so this is how we have customized page for errors. You can say oops, error code 404, page not found, the resource or the page you are looking for has been removed or taken to a different place. Click here to visit home page. So what is home? Is it a home only? No, it's not slash, so I'll not write slash here. Okay, now it's working fine. If I type something that does not exist, I get this error, customize error page, and then I say click here to visit the home page and it starts working absolutely fine, right? I hope you understood it. Okay, let's say we have to add two numbers now. I'll get rid of everything here, or let me decide and design a new page. Let's call this calculate.jsp, right? So if I say calculate.jsp, I get hello world, right? So this is my calculate.jsp. In order, I type calculation.jsp or anything that does not exist, I get 404, okay? But in my case, I have to do calculate. So let me see. Form action, self action, right? And I say method is equal to post and go for a table, close a table, and I say tr cell spacing equivalent to 5, cell padding is equivalent to 5, and open tr td and another td, right? And I will just copy this, right? So I'll say calculator. So I'm using this app as a calculator, and this is going to be for results, okay? And I'll say enter num1, alright? So I'm going to take it, or we can say enter the first number. You should completely write what your application is doing. So I will say input type is equivalent to text, name is equivalent to txt num1, and close it down. So this is it. So I'll say enter the second number, right? And I say txt num2, since we have now designed a form, now it should have two buttons. Okay, input type submit. I've already said why is it required to use input type submit instead of input type button. So I'll say value is equivalent to add and value is equivalent to subtract. Now I have to use two buttons to either add or to subtract. Okay, and we'll be seeing or checking exception handling as well right here. Okay, but let me make a file for you first. Okay, I still have this JSP file. I was trying to make other videos. Alright, so I'll show you. First thing was editing the validation file, and that's what we did at the first instance. Alright, so this is called as nested if else, right, to check and validate one element at a time, right? So already seen first it will check for username and then it will check for password rather than checking for both of them, right? And the second thing we learned was the custom error pages, right? So second thing was the custom error pages. So this is here, custom pages or user defined error page. It was just defined 404, and after this lecture I will define 500 as well, right? Okay, so I've defined this form right here, designed it in a very nice manner. Okay, it's fine, it's working fine, it does not have any problem. Okay, fine, so let us execute and do it. And let me take it plus and minus calcu, plus and minus calculator using JSP. Alright, so we'll be developing and designing it right here. So it is better not to go through the video again and again. Try and do it yourself, and if there is any problem in the source code or if you're getting any sort of error, you can consult this sketch which I'm going to upload for you. Is that true? Okay, fine. Alright, so this is the complete sketch right here. Alright. Sorry. Okay. Fine. Okay, plus and minus calculator. And this is the HTML part. And now the best part is coding. I know you'll be able to write HTML, so there's no need of me making file of it. But yeah, still, I don't want to take chances. I still give you benefit of doubt that you're very good at writing these things, right? But yeah, prevention is better than cure. Fine. So now I have to differentiate when is submit, when if it is submit button that's being clicked or if it is the add button that's being clicked. Only when I know add or subtract button is being clicked will I be able to do addition or subtraction. The first thing, I don't want to jeopardize the entire thing, right? And I don't want to display errors at the beginning of my program, so that's why I'll go with post. Why do I go with post? I'll tell you why. For example, if I say int num1 is equivalent to, right, request. What is request? Right, please tell me, what is request? Yeah, it is an implicit object available in JSP, and it is associated with the HTTP request. Okay. get. Okay, int num1 is equal to request.get parameter txt num1, as simple as anything, right? And it is get parameter. Now it's going to throw an error because whenever you take input, any input that is taken from here, right, is taken in string container. Everything that is coming from here will be taken as string implicitly. That means request.get parameter returns as string, and now we have to implicitly convert it back to integer. So I will say integer dot parse int. So I am going to convert integer dot parse int will take whatever is in the container, right? We know we have different containers, one to get milk, one to get bread. So different containers for different things. And integer from 1 to 0 or 1 to 9, right, are known as integers. So we have different containers for int integers. And now here we are getting string. Then whatever we read from txt num1, it is going to return 19 in a closed string, right, as a closed string. So what this parse int has to do, remove quotes and treat it as plain integers, because we cannot do addition and subtraction operations or multiplication operations on string parameters and variables, right? So that is why I have to convert them first. Now what is going to happen, take num2 as well, right? txt num2 will go to int num2. So this is the problem now that we have to face. We are getting error. On get, we are getting an error. Why are we getting an error here? The error is only because of the fact that by default, whenever you load any web application, you execute HTTP GET, not POST. But here, you are setting txt num1 and txt num2 on HTTP POST, right? So that is where, that's where validation and verification process in software engineering is very important. We don't have to write code only. We have to write understandable code. We have to make sure that our software is not causing exceptions, does not have many bugs, right? So we, as a software engineer, we have to take care of many different things. Not only giving client a response, we have to give client a better response. We have to give client and handle his request in a better way. We have to guide the user through by giving nice user-friendly examples, nice user-friendly message. Okay. So what are we going to do now? So I will say if request dot get method is equivalent to post. Please execute these two lines only when post is happening, right? So now when you load the website for the first time, it's not post, it is get, right? Are you able to understand? Let me print it out. If I do out dot, what is out? It's again an implicit object available in JSP, right? And out.print, out is associated with HTTP servlet response. Okay, now you can see when I load the website, I get right? And if I write something here, I get post, right? So when I hit any button, I get post. So why am I getting this error? I'll show you. Okay, get is executed, right? Will not get error when I pass any number, so post is executed right here. So now if I do not pass any value here, right? So I click on the button add or on button submit. What this does is the add button or the submit button is going to submit the request back to web server, and what web server does, takes the request parameter and converts it to int. But what? Wait a second. What are you doing? You are trying to convert empty string. There is nothing to convert. You're trying to convert empty string back to integer. There is nothing that you can convert here, right? Is there anything? No, you're converting black strings. No, it's absolutely blank. Now if I say 10 plus 10, yes, it's not going to do anything. But if I don't supply anything, it's going to cause an exception, right? It is error 500 for input string this. Now how do you stop this error from coming, right? Let me basically create another page here, copy and paste and rename it to 500. So now we have another error page, custom error page, error code 500. Error code 500 is server error, right? And the server error is, you can see, internal server error. So write it down here, internal server error, right? And the description for the same will be BR. Let's have break line, okay. And now I have server error here, right? Okay, now how do you control this server error? If I click here, why is the error coming? Because we are trying to convert blank strings. We have not supplied anything here, right? And we are trying to convert blank strings right here. That empty string is taken and being converted. You cannot convert empty string. It's going to cause a number format exception. A number format exception. So this is what it's going to cause, right? And for that, the first thing that we are going to do, making sure that our website looks professional enough and our website is not dependent as that of the web server errors are dependent. Our website is intelligent and well designed so that we understand errors and give custom response for all the errors. And for that, I'll go to my error page. All right, so I'll define another error page right here, and I will say error code 500 will give me the location, redirect me to 500 dot and JSP. Now if I do this, you can see error 500. Click here to visit home page. If I write anything that does not exist, custom error 404, click here to visit home page. And if I do not write anything here, okay, not home page, so I'll have to go to calculate.jsp, right? So you can see this here. Okay, is that okay? Now the second thing that you can do here, because since you do not know the page you are coming from, for example, I have error 500, right? If I get error 500, I go to home page, but since I have not come from home page, I have come from calculate.jsp. So what you can do right here, in ahref, you can do here, you can open JavaScript, right? You can say a anchor tag and you can say on click JavaScript, and you can use history dot we have, I suppose, back. I don't know whether it's a function or what. Okay, history dot back. You're doing history dot back. Let's say I get an exception. Click here to visit home page. Yeah, history dot back is happening right here, right? So okay, so I'll say ahref is equivalent to blank, and we're getting it. So okay, click here to visit home page. Now we cannot write this. Click here to go back to previous page. I'll do the same on 404.jsp. Instead of going to home page, I'm going to back page. I'm calling the history function to go back to. Click here to go back to previous page. For example, if I go to home, right, I write homes. Now I have come from home. Click here to go back to the previous page, right? So for example, it is home, right? And the previous page that I have come from is home, and I type history says I type home queue. Click here to go back is not working here. History dot back, so I'll have to get rid of this href. Fine, so click here to go back. Yeah, it's working. So there has not to be, no need to have ahref here. What you can do is style cursor and use pointer so that you know that you're clicking something. Okay, So let us say I go to homes, click here to go back to previous page, and if I go to calculate.jsp and I type calculate something.jsp 404, go back to previous page, I go to the same page. Now if I cause error 500, go back to previous page, I go to the same previous page, right? So this is what we do of by just typing history dot back. So I'll give you this as well. Alright, so I'll write it down here, history dot back. So this is history dot back. I'll have to create some extra spaces where I can fit in this error. Alright, so it's here. Okay, just a moment. Let me create some extra spaces. I'll keep the link below in the comment section so that you can download it quite easily. Right, so what is this used for? Right, uses browser history. Right, it uses browser history to go back to the page, right, to the previous page, right, you have come from, right, the page that you have come from, right. So this is now, and for error 545 we have used another, this is web.xml error 500. We used error 500, these tags. Alright, so this is also epidemic and understood. Right, so which file is this? Right, which file is this? This is web.xml. What is the web.xml known as? Deployment descriptor. Alright, so I think this part is done. Right, so let's go back and let's go back to calculate.jsp, right? So that's not the only thing that a developer has to do, generate a page. No, we have to handle this error. Now why is the error coming? Because you're taking empty string and you're converting empty string to integer, right? So this is causing an exception, and we'll handle the exception using try and catch block. Right, so I will say catch exception. Any exception that comes, right, I have to catch that exception. And let me define a message variable here. So I'll say string message is equal to blank, and I will say message is equal to e.exception.get message. So whatever message is in the exception that has been caught, what are we trying here? We are trying to execute this code, right? After trying to execute the code, right, if there's an exception, if you do not supply anything here, the exception will come. If you supply, instead of integer, if you supply string, the exception will come. If you supply char, the exception will come, right? And you're trying to handle that exception right here, right? So let me use scriptlets to print the message here. Not the scriptlets, but the expressions. Expression means print message. I repeat, it's the short form of out.println, and exception does not take, expressions do not take any terminators, and an expression is only for a single variable, right, or anything. Okay, fine. Okay, let's see now. You can see for input string. Now if I type something, you can see for input string DDF, or you can have custom message right here. You can say input string was not improper, or input string was not a number. So input string was not a number. I can see this here. Input string was not a number. Add input string was not a number. Subtract input string was not a number. Now supply string 10 plus 10, no error. Now supply s plus s, input string was not a number. So this is how we catch exceptions, right? So this is exception handling here. All right, trying to catch the exception. All right, so this is how the exception has been caught. So I'll write it down, handling, handling exceptions and giving custom messages. I repeat, what is the job of a professional web developer? Sorry. The job of a professional web developer is as that of creating a nice web application with nice user-friendly messages that the user understands, right, without confusing the user. Guiding the user through is the job of a nice web developer. The nice web developer or a professional web developer will not only give a response back to the request of the user, but he's going to handle the request and response in such a manner that user understands the mistakes user is doing, right? Okay, now you can see input was not a number, right? We still have a backup page. In case if everything fails, we are going to generate a customized error 500 page. If I supply 50 plus 0, it's absolutely fine. Okay, now this part is done. Now I will do one thing. I will create two functions in here. So I will create int, or you can say public, or let's create private int add. It takes two numbers, int n1 and int n2, right? And what is this function going to do? It is going to return n1 plus n2. That's it, right? And since this is not declaration right here, so it's going to cause an error. See, you get an error if you are using scriptlets instead of declaration. So now I will use declaration and I will use this right here. Private int add takes two parameters and returns the addition of two parameters. So private int subtract takes two parameters and returns the minus of two different things, right? So okay, that's it. I'll just copy and paste it. So let us have it here. I'm declaring two functions for the job, right? What is the job? Addition and subtraction is the job of these two functions. All right, so after you have declared two functions, now it's our job first to get whether subtract is pressed or add is pressed, right? So let me get it here. So I will say out dot print ln, right, request dot get parameter and the name of the parameter. So I'll keep the name of the parameter same. Alright, so I will say name is equivalent to, right, so I'll keep the name same. Name is equivalent to, let's say, about math, do mathematics, and here the name is same. And now imagine that the name of both the buttons is same, the type of both the buttons is same, but both the buttons have different value. The value here is sub and the value here is m. So let us see what is happening if okay, let us see what happens if I say request.getParameter math. When I say request.getParameter math, I'm going to get value of this subtract or addition. But I know that post is going to be called only when 1 out of 2 is pressed or clicked, right? Okay, let's see now. Let us pass 10 and 20 and I'll say add. You're getting null. Let us save 10 and 10. Okay, you're getting subtract right here. Let us say 10 and 10. You're getting add here. Okay, right, and calculator is not here. What is post doing here? I'm not getting this. Okay, get and post. Okay, we are printing it here. Okay, we're printing it somewhere, no? Okay, out.println request.get method is not required. Fine. So if I click 10, 10, so I get subtract. If I say 20, 30, I get add, right? So the name is same, right? So if I basically supply empty parameters, exception is caught, right? And when the exception is caught, try doesn't work, catch works. You're catching the exception, right? So you're not going to get anything right here. So yes, in order to print, we need to have both the numbers ready right here. Okay, okay, fine. So let us say now, if request.get parameter math is equivalent to add, right? So I'm doing this, right? So I will say out.println, not out.print, so I'll say message is equivalent to this, and now I'll call the function add, and I will pass num1 and num2 to the function. Alright, so I'll say message is equivalent to add. Okay, so we don't have incompatible, int cannot be converted to string, no problem. I will say dot to, okay, just a moment. So I will say int sum is equivalent to add num1 plus num2. Okay, alright, it's done, right? So I will say else if, right, request.get parameter math is equivalent to subtract, and then int sum is equivalent to subtract function is called num1 plus num2. Okay, and here I will do out.print, not out.print again, sorry, message is equivalent to sum. And for that we still have to define sum, so I will say int sum is equivalent to null initially. Alright, so int sum is null. Okay, and here sum is equivalent to this and sum is equal to this. And now here we'll get an error, incompatible types, 0. Int sum is equivalent to 0. If add button is pressed, you are calling the sum function and it returns the addition of two numbers. If subtract button is pressed, you're calling the sub function and the returned value is given back to this sum. And then you are saying message is equivalent to sum. And because we are not able to do boxing and unboxing because of primitive data types, so I'll make sure that instead of int it is integer. Alright, so I'll make sure it's integer, and only then I'll be able to do dot to string. Fine, you're converting. Why is it integer? Because it's a primitive data type, right? You can directly do boxing and unboxing with. So initially it has 1. Now if you press add button, you are going to call add function and it returns the sum of two numbers, addition of two numbers. And then if you press subtract button, you're calling the subtract function, which is going to return the subtraction of two numbers back to this single variable sum. At the same time, you can either hit add or sub because there are only two buttons, and then your message takes the sum. Because the sum is integer, you're converting it back to string for printing purposes. Okay, all right, so let's see. Input string was not a number, exception handling, 10 plus 10 is equivalent to 0. I don't know, 10 plus 20 is equivalent to 0. 10 minus 5 is equivalent to 0. Okay, I'm not getting it. Perhaps we have some error right here. Message is equivalent to, alright, so add, we are returning n1 plus n2 here, and we are returning n1 minus n2. 2 right here. So these functions are working absolutely fine. And request dot get parameter math is equal to okay, we are using is equal to. We cannot use is equal to in Java when we are comparing strings. So we know that we have to use dot equals. Okay, we are here using dot equals again, and if it is subtract capital me. Fine, so let me try again. Yeah. 10 minus 2 is 8. 10 plus 20 is 30. Right? So practice this very hard and do it 2 or 3 times so that you get familiar with the source code, and you get familiar with the syntax of JSP page. Alright, and I request you to at least acknowledge your instructors. Whenever you are learning online, you know that your instructors do not have you in front of them, right? So that if you're not paying attention, they can stop you and say, hey, you're not attentive, pay attention to the class, right? If you're not in the class, your instructor may call you and where are you? Why aren't you present in the class? But since once we are providing online sessions, we don't know whether all the students or all the trainees who are watching and learning via video are watching and paying attention. And it is your duty to encourage your teachers and instructors so that they get encouraged and they make much better content. So you don't have to do much for encouragement. What you need to do is answer the questions that we ask. So when you answer those, we get positive vibes and say, no, our students are eager to listen to our lectures, and if they are very eager and having that passion for development and software engineering, right? So for that, we don't need to beg for you to answer our questions. So it's your duty to encourage and to answer each and every question that we ask. So the question for today is number 1. So I'll just mark the questions here. Question number 1 that I'm going to mark: what name all the directives in JSP page. Question number 2. Alright, question number 2. Question number 1 is name all the directives in JSP pages. Name any 4 implicit objects in Java, right? Question number 3, how do you, right, or we can say handle exceptions. Very easy 3 questions. Name all the directives that we use in JSP, right? Or name all the directives in JSP, right? So we're talking of directives, right? Name any 4 implicit objects in JSP, not Java, right? And how do you handle exceptions in JSP, right? So please answer these 3 questions. Whenever you answer, right, it encourages and it gives us positive vibes so that we create better content, better lectures and better content for you to learn. So right, so in order for you to learn with passion, right, you also need to show a bit of enthusiasm. You also need to show interest in lectures, right? And this is the only way your instructor will know that, yeah, all the students are passionable and they're having that passion of IT, right? Please answer. And as soon as you complete the lecture, in case you are having any question, you can ask in the comment section or you can message me privately. Bye-bye. Take care.